Welcome back, John. How's it
thanks,
going?
Jen. Good.
Yeah.
Good. Always good to be here. It's spring. We're out in the countryside, so the manure spreaders are out. That's exciting.
Yeah.
You can tell when warmer weather's coming.
Yeah. So if you've gotten past the allergy part, maybe you can still smell it.
Yes, I'm heavily medicated, so I can unfortunately smell the manure. Yeah.
Me too. I'm just I'm trying to get out ahead of it. I've got the Benadryl. I've got some prescription thing my doctor gave me.
I love springtime except for that bit.
Yeah, but you were saying you've got a gig tomorrow, and you're be playing outdoors possibly. So.
Well, we'll be indoors, but it's
maybe windows open.
It's a winery ish. And they have two big roll-up doors.
Okay.
So we might as well be outside.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
That'll be cool.
Love the gig. A great time.
Awesome. We were just sharing some tips on playing gigs, and if you're reading a chart, some things to look out for. So we did that on the member area video. So I think we had some really good things. That's what's so cool about doing a little back and forth is you're going to throw something out there. Maybe I'll throw something out there. But today, let's see. Let's not forget to mention bass repair. So I have never seen this bass in better condition. Had this bass a real long time, and John just worked on it over the last week or so. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's great.
Thanks. I do. At this point, I'm doing 5 or 6 a week, so it's nice.
Yeah.
But I love to do it.
It's a great setup. So I played a little bit here, just tinkering around, but looking forward to recording with it and playing with it in general.
Yeah. I want to hear how it sounds when you record with it now that it's where it should be.
Yeah, behaving and where it should be. Yeah. So get your repairs out to John, and if you're in another area, you could ship it to him, or he knows folks around the country. So
yeah, absolutely. If you don't feel like shipping it, I can find you somebody local that's worth your time and money.
Yeah. Get your stuff set up. All right, so we had a few things we wanted to talk about. You've got this video that you showed me earlier, music video by Dirty Loops.
The new tune we've been waiting few years for now. New tune called Runaway. First off, the video's funny. Because they are totally messing with the whole 80s.
Absolutely,
kind of Van Halen-ish boy band. It's really funny.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, is that his typical drum set
No.
Okay, yeah, because it's like that transparent.
Yeah, it's big acrylic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's wearing the sleeveless T-shirt and the headband is so not him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing is. It's a bunch of visual puns, kind of.
Yeah.
But the playing is ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous. I mean, the hits that they do at the beginning, that's so it just feels good.
Yeah.
To imagine how, doing that was really good.
It is, and I was listening to somebody else talk about this video the other day, and they said, we're kind of used to this level that this band does, and they just went above it.
Nice.
Again. And
raising the bar on
raising
themselves.
the bar. And I think as we were talking about off camera, there are certain pieces of bass music, bass performances that we consider sort of landmark things. There's Jocko's first album, like the tune Continuum or Portrait of Tracy, Stanley Clarke's School Days. I wore out 2 copies of both those records.
Nice.
Victor Wooten's Sinister Minister. It's an amazing sub bass groove thing that he does. Even like Marcus Miller's tune Detroit. These are things we can point to and go, okay, that's where it changed.
Yeah.
I am convinced this video is the same thing.
Okay.
This album that it's coming out on is this changes again.
Yeah. If you haven't seen this, check it out. It's really remarkable, not only ensemble work, but the bassist comes out in a real lead kind of role. And it's just wild what he's doing. I'm not exactly sure what the technology is, but I really liked how he's able to go from a natural sound to a synthesized kind of sound. I don't know what's going on there exactly.
He's got somewhere I had a list. It's like all these different pedals, and he uses fractal effects.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with
so that lets him do a lot.
Yeah.
Right? I think he uses the fractal. That's like the FX9 or whatever it is. And he's got a fairly extensive collection of pedals.
Yeah.
One of the things about this video where they show the tune where it's like glitching, they get that whole glitchy sound.
Yeah.
Fascinating how this band does it, because they do have to work with tracks a lot live. They always have a second keyboardist because there's just way too much going on for one guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes they had a guitarist, sometimes they've had horn sections with them. But everybody can hear it, but there's sort of a master brain controlling all the equipment. So as the tune goes on, instead of these guys having to mash foot switches and push buttons, all their equipment presets shift.
Yes.
So they can just play.
Yeah.
And so they can do the glitch thing live.
Yeah.
They can do anything. Actually, they can do anything they want.
Yeah.
They've got now total freedom over their sound.
So is that automated, or is that somebody behind the scenes?
Well, both.
Yeah.
There is somebody who can do it behind the scenes, but then anytime they're running a click or any sort of like a string track or something that they might have to run, there is a digital or MIDI control track running, talking to all the keyboards, all the effects, vocal effects. Everything is unified.
Yeah. Very cool.
Which is a seriously cool use of technology.
Yeah, absolutely. That is really great. I mean, playing with backing tracks is pretty much, I think, a completely accepted thing at this point. And so to do it, on that level, and to have it be a creative thing, not, there are certain circumstances where you would do it, if you can't bring in a whole string section, it's obvious that, pipe that in.
Yeah, you can't tour with 20 string players. Yeah, you need to.
Yeah, auxiliary percussion type things, or you just need extra things. It also helps keep everybody together, especially if you're spatially spread out. To have a click.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are playing the biggest stages.
Yeah.
Physically biggest stages.
Yeah, in the video, they were far apart.
They're far apart, and it is really impressive that they just they're not precious about the technology, and they're not afraid of the technology.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of older players like, oh, well, technology that takes away from the, shut up. Younger players are like, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
I can do that now.
Yeah.
I can do this now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So these guys, but they're doing it on a whole concert level for the whole band all at once.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
you know,
cool.
but again, I'm convinced the solo is something we can look back on in a few years and just go, yeah, everything just shifted. That was a major shift in thinking for bass players.
Yeah, yeah. And I think to bring the bassists front and center like that and have some of those even higher pitched notes.
Oh yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
You know, for the bassist to get the limelight for whether there were 2 solos in there.
There are 2 solos, and there's a bunch of other tunes they do. World on Fire, he takes an amazing solo on. Some stuff, it's just ridiculous what he's playing through the whole thing, like their version of Thriller that they did with Corey Wong. But yeah, it's 3 guys. It's funny. It's a trio, and all 3 guys are out front.
Yeah,
and they're all operating at such an insanely high level.
Yeah.
That they can do whatever they feel like.
Yeah. It's kind of like what would Rush have done if they had all this MIDI stuff? Because they were starting to bring like synthesizers and.
Yeah, well, Geddy had that amazing, those big racks and tons of keyboards and foot pedals, and by the end, they'd gotten rid of all the onstage amps. And they, for a while, they were touring. They had running washers and dryers on stage, like a row of them, and like the staff was doing laundry on stage while the band is doing. It's awesome. So they started to really get in on the new technology. But this whole thing where if you think of the band as a whole unit, and you're playing with the sound and the effects and how this works together, totally frees up the players.
Yeah, it's exciting, and the level of musicianship and virtuosity and ensemble playing, and the technology, just the whole.
Yeah,
and the visuals. Don't forget the visuals. Yeah, the lighting was cool.
The drummer does all their video editing, and you go back and look at their videos; they're amazing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially things like the stuff they did with Corey Wong. So Corey Wong and his band were in Minneapolis. Dirty Loops was in Sweden.
Okay.
Look at the video. It's really hard to take. They worked it out, so it's really hard to take.
Okay, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, these guys are having fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Serious talent, but they're just having a really good time, and they really don't seem to care what anybody else thinks.
Yeah.
God, they're good.
That's awesome. So a couple other things we should talk about. And before I forget, please leave comments down below and let us know what you're thinking about and what you think about any of these topics. I wanted to talk a little bit about carbon fiber guitars. So I had a student who he was asking my advice on guitars. And he really loved this carbon fiber guitar, but he had a wood guitar, which I think was like carved, like I think it's like solid. And I said, you really need to keep that guitar. Yeah. You need to just supplement with this guitar that you really like. You need to have 2 guitars and just keep it.
Yeah.
He didn't take my advice, which is totally fine.
Well, I mean, it's all the carbon fiber acoustics out there are not cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
So I totally get the
it's
idea
the financial thing. Yeah. So, but it speaks to him, and he loves it. So he's super happy with his decision. So, but yeah, it sort of strikes me like I listened to it the other day, because normally we do a lesson online, and I listened to it the other day, and I'm like, yeah, it does sound really good. It does sound really good. So yeah, I mean, that's just a whole thing that I'm not that familiar with. There's carbon fiber.
I mean, there's a company in Ireland called Emerald Guitars.
Okay.
Who seems to be making kind of the state of the art.
Okay.
And they're all graphite.
Yeah.
With kind of graphite and wood tops. It looks like a wood top. It's really a veneer on a graphite top, but it's braced and all the rest of it. I've tried one of their acoustic basses. I tried one of their guitars, and I'm a terrible guitarist. These are really good.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing there that would make you go, I don't want this.
Yeah.
If anything, the opposite, because it's going to be temperature and humidity stable.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I know a lot of bass players who live in the South, especially in New Orleans, love graphite neck basses like Modulus and Zahn.
Okay.
Because the humidity is so high.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Yep.
But yeah, these Emerald guitars, and there's been a couple other companies. Did Seagull make some? I don't remember.
Possibly.
But the Emerald ones, these are,
man,
these are impressive.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up Seagull because I do really like those. I think they are great value for money. So that was another one. I gave advice to my niece on buying a guitar, and she went against my advice as well. What can I say?
You wonder why you even talk.
I know. I just put these things out there. Take it or leave it.
Yeah, the Seagulls, I've had people bring me the very entry level ones.
Yeah.
I can't recommend those.
Okay.
Honestly,
yeah.
The next step up, great.
Yeah,
this is a nice solid instrument.
It's nice and solid. Yeah, I mean, good. And that's part of Godin's line of, I think.
That part of their consortium of companies.
They have Seagull, Art, and Lutherie, I think, is another one. I highly recommend those instruments.
And the nice thing is you can work through those, and then if you need electric, you can go to the Godins, which are awfully nice.
Yeah, and pretty kind of progressive technology.
Absolutely.
I think they are really working on some things. I've looked around at some of their guitars that have MIDI capability, and then you can blend like acoustic sounds and different things. Very interesting.
I just did a friend's. It was an older one, as the SA series.
Okay.
And they only made this SA Jazz, but it's hollow body, F holes.
Yeah.
One pickup. Now they only do the two pickup, and full MIDI.
Okay. Yeah.
This thing is awesome.
Yeah.
It tracked beautiful,y It sounded great. The pickup was very pretty.
Yeah.
Sounding. Yeah, I gave it a nice setup, and there were a couple of electronic things that just came with age and fixed that.
Yeah.
Killer guitar.
Yeah. So yeah, I would definitely recommend those. There's some other things. Ableton 12 came out just recently, so that's pretty cool. I usually try to get in on. They offer you, like, as they're developing. Well, it was kind of a cool experience, I have to say, because they actually wrote to everybody, but and said, if there's anything you would like to improve on Ableton, what would it be? So I wrote back with some suggestions, and so then a few months later, you get this email. We're gonna release it in a few months, and would you like 20% off? Don't quote me on the exact number, but some discount on the upgrade cost of doing it. And so I generally have taken advantage of that.
Yeah.
Because it's just good, and then so I've been playing around with it. It's got some really cool things about it, and they have this keep latency versus not keep latency.
I saw that,
which is kind of cool.
Kind of neat.
Yeah, I like that, because that's one thing that, as just someone learning how to record and all this stuff, wrapping my head around latency is like, it's sort of like you record something, everything sounds really good, and then you go press play and like everything's late.
Yeah, this is why. Yeah, getting everything lined up and then checking phase alignment.
Yeah, and phase and stuff.
That's one of the things you just gotta do it. It just, if you wonder why your mix sounds like mush, a lot of the time it's a phase issue. And you need everybody, because you can have, if your kick drum is in phase and your bass is out of phase. 180 degrees out of phase, and they're playing together. Right? They're playing a hit together. Basically, you have a kick drum going one way and the bass going the other. When it comes to the speaker, you have to think all the way through the chain out to the speaker. So the idea is a positive input on a mic equals an outward motion of the speaker cone. That's the goal. If you're 180 degrees out of phase, that makes it an inward motion. So if you're kicking your bass or trying to go two different directions at the same time, it won't sound good. It just ain't going to work.
Yeah. So you can zoom into those waveforms and stuff and try to see that. And then I think there are some phase reverse things in the utility or something like that.
And the utility, and there's some really good plugins. I think iZotope stuff. We've talked about iZotope a lot because we both like iZotope. They got phase check. Those little displays, you're never sure what they mean. Open the digital manual, check them out, because it'll show you spread and frequency balance across a stereo spread and phase relationship and this stuff that makes for an mix to a really amazing mix.
So another thing I wanted to talk about, which I didn't mention, I think I wrote it down up there, but Sam Ash has been, I think, closing or consolidating, maybe closing some stores and maybe consolidating overall.
Kind of shrinking,
So, I mean, I think from the retailer perspective, it's sort of like whiplash, what's going on with the world of internet sales and,
Sam Ash has hung on for a very long time. I always like going to Sam Ash stores. I love the one in Manhattan.
Me too. I've been in there too.
But I think you're right, and it's as property prices go up,
right,
and utility prices go up, at a certain point it just doesn't make sense to keep the lights on, which is too bad.
So any guitarists or bassists out there, you may find some good sales. I mean, I checked the website, but I didn't really look very deep. I was just kind of curious.
I think it's by location, because I know there was one in New York, somebody I knew had worked at, and they were like, there's just killer keyboard and drum deals, like floor model stuff. They were just blowing it out.
Wow, very cool.
So
take advantage of some of those things. I mean, Sweetwater, if you think about their location geographically, I mean, they're like in the center of the U.S.
That was very carefully planned.
And then I mean, I can't imagine it's so developed that it's hard to put a warehouse there, or it's probably so it's a very, I don't know the history of the store, but
it's kind of rural-ish, but not really. It's
Fort Wayne, I think.
Fort Wayne, it's a reasonably big. It's a city, and reasonably big, and they're on the outskirts of it, and they're huge.
I can only imagine.
Facility is just massive.
And they have like a whole studio.
They have a whole studio,
top of the line
concert stage. They hold a big music festival every year. Which has got, by all accounts, the sound for that is just incredible. Because they have every toy, literally. And they have a huge retail operation.
Also, you can go and
you can actually go and try anything.
Oh, very cool.
And if they don't have it out on the floor, they will go get one out of the warehouse and let you try it. Now, as much as I love local dealers like Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center, who I've been shopping since I was a little kid, sometimes something like that's pretty cool.
I was telling a student the other day, you used to be able to walk into a music store and buy like a single string. Like you could do that. I don't know if you can do that these days.
You can, but only Ernie Ball.
Ernie Ball, okay.
D'Addario, if it's the right dealer, because it's a whole separate box, and it takes up. It's a large box of single strings, and it takes up counter space. It comes down to physical space. And if you're a big company, like some I won't mention, that are seen sort of accountant led, they're figuring profit per square foot. And if you've got something that's taking up 3 square feet, if it's not paying for itself, they're going to yank it. So if you find a dealer that's doing something like that, like the single string thing, or selling sax reeds one at a time, support them. They're really vital. We need those.
Absolutely. So so that's some kind of news there. You were talking about cabinets and speakers, and you're maybe getting into that. Did you want to talk about that?
I've been playing with speakers forever, and electronics, as some of you know if you watched before, and I've been involved in 3 high-end home audio operations. But now I'm looking at, it looks like a set of drivers coming my way. They're big coax, amazing things. So looking at the cabinets and that were designed for these, but what other options do I have?
Yeah.
But then I've also made the mistake of trying, like there's a company from Italy called GR.
Okay.
And they make wooden cabinets and they make carbon fiber cabinets.
Okay.
They make a 212 that weighs like 32 pounds. I mean, it's ridiculous. You go to pick it up and you throw it in the air.
Yeah, I have a 212 and it's breaking my back.
Yeah,
if I have to move it.
Yeah, and the GR it weighs nothing. I think their 112 is, I think it's under 10 pounds or right around. I mean, just so light.
Wow.
And they're doing it's 2 layers of carbon fiber with a special material in between, so they're making like a tuned wall thing.
Yeah.
That's sort of the tuned enclosure thing.
Yeah.
Is you got to get the box right.
Yeah.
Because that defines how the speaker works.
Yeah.
Speaker theory and speaker math will make your eyes water, which is why there's cool software for it.
Yeah.
But like these, I'm looking for Tannoy. They used it's this sandwich of multiple different materials.
Okay.
So they could really tune how the cabinet vibrated and make sure it was only reacting out of the audio band.
Yeah.
So it was not interfering with the speaker. Very large brains at work there.
Yeah.
But Tannoy is a very old company. So, pay attention to the speaker box as much as the sound coming out of it.
Yeah.
Can it take a beating? Does it weigh 500 pounds? I used to have a bass rig that literally did weigh 500 pounds. Oh, that sounded good. But it was massive and overkill and pointless and heavy. I had to buy a different car because of that.
Yeah.
But look at some of these companies who are using high-tech materials and doing really clever engineering.
Yeah.
But also for bass players, there is a rule. Always write this down, okay? And the rule is, I think it's Hoffman's iron law. It says light, loud, low. Pick 2.
You get 2.
You get 2.
That's your max.
You do not get all 3. So even the GR cabinets, as fantastic as they are, missing just a little bit of the low-end girth that you might.
Yeah.
They will play stupid loud.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the rule. So, yeah. And you can play with cabinet choices and cabinet combinations.
Yeah.
If you sort of keep these things in mind.
Yeah, I had a Nemesis. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, the Eden.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. When I was playing bass in a trio, just casual gigs. We were talking about that in another video. Playing upright bass, and I liked it, but it was huge. I mean, I had to carry it like this.
Yeah,
it was a big cabinet. It's not even a huge speaker, but
no, it's really interesting. It's like there's a guy who makes Acme speakers. They're amazing. They are not light, but they are small.
Yeah.
And they will play ridiculously loud and go very, very low.
Yeah. This one wasn't particularly heavy, though.
Okay, it's just big. Yeah.
Just big.
Yeah. So you've got this, it's always this trade-off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is possible to be too big, but David Nordschau, who did Eden, really knew his stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So it's stuff. So like I say, stuff. I have an Acme 210 that's this by this by this. It sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Takes a fair bit of power to get it moving. Because again, this trade-offs.
Yeah.
It will go ridiculously low. It weighs 50 pounds.
Wow.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
But it sounds good.
Nice.
Yeah. So, when you're looking at these things, keep the engineering in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're, purchasing a cabinet, might think about how often you're playing gigs. If you're using a cart versus not using a cart, some of those practical things. How much space is in some of these gigs? Usually very few.
Yeah.
Very small amount. I mean.
Yeah. Sometimes it's going to be tiny.
Yeah.
I mean, I always use a cart.
Yeah.
Because usually the musicians are parking at the back of the lot. and it's a 300-yard walk to the front door, and you can't use the front door. You got to go back around through the kitchen, and you're walking around an entire hotel.
Yeah,
we've had this happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, small and lightweight. It's like the Hartke Kickback 12. A lot of bass players use that because it's not that heavy and it's small.
Yeah,
and you can hear yourself
and gets the job done. Yeah.
Maybe not the most high fidelity thing,
but
it'll get you through the gig.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of gigs, we thought we'd talk a little bit. Of course, we want to keep everything positive, but I thought we'd talk a little bit about red flags on from potential clients and stuff. Yeah. So not too long ago, I was approached by someone about doing a wedding gig, and so got on the phone. And one thing that I would like, I don't want to be a prima donna or anything, but one thing I would like for someone who is like approaching me would be to maybe do a Google search on me ahead of time.
Nice.
Something, not just, choosing a musician is just not like going to the store and picking up
a can of soup or
something. Yeah, it's not really like that. So and maybe this, who knows, maybe some folks who are higher musicians would watch this too, so some things to kind of look out for. But just look somebody up online, and check out a video. So when somebody calls me and then they ask me if there's anything online, I kind of get that, but at the same time, in my mind, it's like, well, you didn't really bother to like look into it at all. So I don't know. That's just for me, it's a little bit of a red flag.
Yeah, and they're just, that sort of starts the conversation that ends, you want how much to do it?
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing. If you're approaching someone, you may want to have like a specific thing in mind that not all musicians do the exact same thing. So you might just want to look into them and see if they do the thing that you're kind of looking for.
Right.
I don't know. It just seems like
it's like I do mostly jazz and world music. I have friends who do nothing but show bands.
Yeah.
These are two different worlds.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I've done gigs where, and I think you've done them too, where you start like on a wedding, you might do the cocktail hour, and then the dinner, and then you're done and the show band takes over. Or the DJ if the budget doesn't allow for it. Because a good show band is pricey. I like those.
Exactly.
But so if you're the client, kind of have in mind what you want. As the musician, you need to know very clearly what you do, what you can do, and what you're worth.
Right, absolutely.
Because they will try to lowball you.
Yeah, so that is another little thing when another little bit of a red flag when I start hearing about all the benefits of being there, like the scenery is gonna be great, and you're gonna see the bay. I get all that. It may be a plus, but probably something to talk to me about after we've negotiate the price.
There'll be important people there. And if they ever use the word exposure, run. Stop the conversation right there. Run, because I tell people, somebody says, well, it's great exposure, and my standard response is, well, people have died from exposure. So
maybe the exposure I'm offering you is not the one you want.
If I can't put it in my gas tank or my stomach, I want to know. It's and hold your ground on that.
So those are some things where like that's giving me the sense like, oh, they are probably not gonna want to pay what I'm expecting. So then I just say, well, I think you should probably look for someone else at some point when I get a certain amount of these kind of flags. I just say, well, try this or that, you know.
Yeah, they want they want a 5-piece band for 4 hours for the price of a solo act.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've or the one that makes me want to scream is like they will tell you how much they spend on flowers, and then they will offer you 1/10 of that.
Yeah.
Or 1/100th of that. 'Cause I've done gigs with $20,000 worth of flowers.
Wow.
And we're offering the musicians $100 a piece.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So I mean, it should be obviously fair and all that, and I would never set out to gouge anyone just because it is a wedding. I mean, but you've got to be compensated fairly. I mean, all those years of practicing without payment, that's what you get paid to do.
Yeah, and you've got all this gear and insurance and travel to and from and prep time. Yeah. And there's things like you and I talking about strings, like for that or something. It's $60 a set.
Yeah.
My rule is I don't work for less than the cost of 2 sets of strings.
Right.
And for that, you get me for an hour.
Yeah.
Because, another red flag is if they won't sign a contract.
Okay. Yeah.
Corporate gigs, I don't care if it's a retirement home, especially retirement homes. Watch it. It can take a long time to get paid from some of them. And that's just because they're busy. Right. I'm a big fan of contracts.
Yeah, and I think you should get a probably 50% deposit.
Yeah. If it's a big event, like, I've done like 50th wedding anniversaries or big corporate events and stuff.
Yeah.
And, I want to see a contract, everything very carefully spelled out, including where does the band park?
Right. Yeah.
Do we get to eat? Because if, you get a 7 o'clock gig, but they want you there at 5 and it goes till 10 or 11.
Right.
Got to eat.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on the parking thing. I've done like hotel gigs here in Baltimore where they're like, okay, we're up on the top floor of, I think it was the Hyatt or something like that. And I'm like, okay, great, fine. And I go to pull in the parking garage and it's $35 to park. That's a fair chunk of my paycheck.
Yeah.
I found street parking.
Right. Yeah.
So these things, get parking comp, do all these things.
Sometimes they'll comp your parking. Yeah. So it is sort of a question mark. You would want to have that worked out ahead of time. Otherwise, you're just kind of taking the risk.
Yeah, and if you look online, there are some very good websites where people have really laid it out.
Yeah.
Including example contracts. What's expected of you, what's expected of them, and if they won't sign that or they want to go through and start crossing stuff off, these are giant red flags.
Yeah.
These are you're gonna have trouble getting paid, or they're gonna come up at the end and say, well, you guys were really, really great, but would you take and they'll talk you down at the end. That's when I just threatened to call my lawyer.
We didn't do it as well as expected. Then you're and
we're really not sounding down on this.
No.
This is fun. Been doing this for too long. But this is a great thing. But you protect yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a musician, you really have to protect yourself.
And if we advocate for ourselves, we advocate for everybody.
Exactly.
So if we undercut ourselves and get paid for less than we're worth, then you're telling the next person that the next person that they're going to hire is not going to get paid fairly, and so
it's only worth so much. And, and here's something really goofy, especially if you're young. This will be a mystery. I'm almost 60. I get to talk like this. Have business cards.
Yeah.
Seriously, a lot of people still don't do the digital business card thing, even though they should, because, like, say you're playing a wedding event and it's at a nice ballroom somewhere at a hotel. What you do is you walk around and you give your card to the banquet manager and the bar manager and the concierge, and you make friends with the staff.
Yeah.
Even like the head busboy. Busboys are my friends because they know where everything is. Hand out your card.
Yeah.
Because that will come back for gigs.
Yeah. And then there is a reason why you're probably wearing black and they're probably wearing black, because we are serving, basically.
We're staff.
Yeah. So you are like in that whole thing, and that, that was a kind of wake up call early on. It's like you feel like, oh yeah, you're a high skilled person, whatever, but you're right there with the wait staff. You're just one of the servants.
And that's fine.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
I'm good as long as the check clears. I'm good. Yeah. It sounds mercenary, but this is my profession.
Yeah,
not my hobby.
Yeah.
But there's also a reason we call a lot of these things wallpaper gigs.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that brings up a good point. Like a lot of times, if someone approaches you, they think this is like your passion, and it is. Mm-hmm. But they think you just do it for fun,
right?
I mean, there are some out there that's what they do, right?
Yeah, but the classic one is, well, you're having so much fun. How do you charge? Why do you charge so much? But you're having fun. Again, I can't put fun in the gas tank.
Yeah.
It's I've had amazing arguments with people who were upset about how much I was charging, and I'm not charging anything out of line.
Yeah.
And I have to look at them and go, oh, okay, you're a lawyer. Do you go home and practice math after the gig? Do you have to pay for your own desk and pencils and telephone and chair and all the rest? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, I do. Yeah. I have overhead. People don't realize this, so go in professional. Be professional.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have your stuff ready.
Yeah.
Know what you're worth. Have a contract PDF that you can send off.
Yeah. And also think about, another kind of red flag is this person, are you going to be on the phone a lot with this person?
Yeah.
Are they going to be contacting you a lot and wanting you to do a lot of outside work on this, whether it be specific tunes that they want, which nothing wrong with that, but you've got to consider the time you're going to be spending on that and work that into your pricing as well.
Yeah, and you get things like, oh, my cousin Edna sings and she wants to do Misty. Okay, I actually charge extra for that now. Because you're going to be spending an hour before the gig trying to get cousin Edna to figure out what key she sings in, or in some cases, which multiple keys she's singing in. These things are add-ons.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be on the phone a lot, just say, my time's worth something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, advocate for yourself. Be very professional and businesslike about it, and hold your ground.
Yeah.
Because the caterer does, the florist does.
Yeah.
The booker of the room, whoever manages the room, the limo service, all these people.
Yeah.
They set their price and nobody argues with them.
Right. Yep. All right. Well, I guess we'll call it a day here for today.
Boy, that was a lot there, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was good. That was good. So hopefully we're giving you a ton of value. Help us out by liking and subscribing and comments. Really after comments. I really love some interaction with all of this back and forth. Gives us some ideas and stuff.
Yeah. If there's something you want us to cover, let us know. We'd love to.
Yeah. And remember, John makes custom cables, custom length, and
all kinds
connectors.
Just tell me what you want.
Yeah.
Well, it has to go from what to what.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we'll call it a day, and we'll see you all in the next one.
See you next time.